The Fool pathway, also known as the Seer pathway, explores themes of fate, mysteries, perception, and destiny, with a notable connection to the fog of history through its Sapphira. Notable in-universe bearers include Klein Moretti and the ancient Antigonus family. The pathway begins with Sequence 9, the Seer, who possesses powers such as danger intuition, basic divination, and sensitivity to the mystical realm, relying on potion ingredients like the blood of spirit world creatures. As one progresses to Sequence 8, the Clown, they gain perfect body control and emotional masking using remnants from flexible creatures. In Sequence 7, the Magician, individuals wield small but real spells and create illusions, requiring mystical items as potion ingredients. The Faceless, in Sequence 6, can change their appearance at will, leading to Sequence 5, the Marionettist, who controls the bodies of the dead and living. The Bizarro Sorcerer, in Sequence 4, manipulates fate-bending spells, while the Scholar of Yore, in Sequence 3, summons echoes of past events. In Sequence 2, the Miracle Invoker responds to prayers and performs miracles, culminating in Sequence 1, the Attendant of Mysteries, who masters space-time and manipulates destiny on a cosmic scale. The journey culminates at Sequence 0, the Fool, who can alter reality and is immune to fate. Above this, the Lord of the Mysteries wields the authority of the Seer, Door, and Error, capable of warping fate and prophecy, representing the pinnacle of paradoxical narrative authority. In contrast, the Error pathway, also known as the Marauder pathway, embodies themes of error, manipulation of rules, and paradox. It connects with the uniqueness Sephira, with Ammon the Blasphemer as a notable bearer. Starting with Sequence 9, Marauder, individuals can steal objects with minimal restrictions. Progressing to Sequence 8, the Swindler, who possesses persuasive abilities akin to hypnotism. Sequence 7 introduces the Cryptologist, skilled in deciphering codes, while Sequence 6, Prometheus, allows the temporary theft of beyonder abilities. The Dream Stealer in Sequence 5 manipulates dreams, followed by the Parasite in Sequence 4, capable of possessing hosts undetected. In Sequence 3, the Mentor of Deceit distorts reality, leading to Sequence 2, the Trojan Horse of Destiny, who bestows bugged destinies. Sequence 1, the Worm of Time manipulates time, culminating in Sequence 0, Error, which can change laws of reality itself. Above this, the Lord of Mysteries Triumvir allows Ammon to manipulate probabilities infinitely. Lastly, the Door pathway, or Apprentice pathway, revolves around space, boundaries, and dimensional traversal, with connections to the Chaos Sea and notable bearers like Force Wall. Starting at Sequence 9, the Apprentice harnesses blink teleportation and rapid knowledge absorption. Sequence 8, Trickmaster, allows for warp-based tricks, while Sequence 7, Astrologer, divines fate and performs minor astral projections. The Scribe in Sequence 6 records powers for repeat use, leading to Sequence 5, the Traveler, who creates stable portals. In Sequence 4, the Secret Sorcerer can create hidden spaces, while the Wanderer in Sequence 3 crosses planets instantly. Sequence 2, the Planeswalker, rewrites dimensional boundaries, culminating in Sequence 1, the Key of Stars, which unlocks metaphysical doors. Finally, Sequence 0, Door, grants the ability to bring or bar anything into existence, with an apotheosis ritual required for this transformation. The Visionary pathway, Spectator pathway, centers around profound mental and psychic abilities. From the beginning at Sequence 9, the spectator gains the power to observe and analyze everything without being noticed, perfecting the art of subtlety and awareness. Their potion ingredients often include fragments associated with clairvoyance or mind observation. As the visionary ascends, their powers grow to telepathy, mind healing, and eventually influencing dreams through the dreamwalker stage. The path's advancement depends heavily on refining control over the subconscious minds of others. At higher sequences, the visionary's abilities touch on reality control through imagination and thought, culminating in the visionary god's dominion over reality molding. Rituals along this path may involve deep meditation or psychic trials, requiring the practitioner to confront layers of mind and subconscious without breaking. A notable example of this pathway's godly figure is Adam, an ancient sun god possessing immense mental powers. The sun pathway, bard pathway, starts humbly with the bard, whose inspiring music and words can touch the hearts of listeners, accompanied by minor light manipulation. Potion crafting in this path often includes ingredients like sunstone or radiantly charged herbs, symbolic of light and life. Higher sequences gain mastery over holy light and fire, such as the solar high priest's ability to wield sunlight as a weapon, and the pathway highlights the unstoppable, often destructive force of nature itself. The White Tower pathway, reader pathway, epitomizes knowledge, logic, and wisdom. The reader, at sequence 9, rapidly absorbs information and enhances memory. Its essence aligns with mental power and the pursuit of truth, and potion components often involve glyphs, rare texts, or cerebral relics. As the path progresses, the practitioner gains extraordinary powers of deduction, prophecy, and even near omniscience in specific domains. Rituals here typically consist of intense study periods, sometimes under peculiar spatial or temporal conditions to expand cognition. At the peak, the White Tower god is the embodiment of knowledge and rationality, able to perceive and understand all contradictions and complexities. This pathway emphasizes intellect, rationality, and insight as transformative forces. 8. The Hanged Man pathway, secret order pathway, is grounded in themes of secrecy, sacrifice, and the interplay of life and death. At the lowest sequence, the secret supplicant is adept at uncovering, keeping, and exchanging secrets, their senses attuned to hidden truths and veiled information. Potion ingredients here often stem from shadow-dwelling creatures or entities associated with hidden knowledge. As they grow, listeners can hear the whispers of spirits and secrets carried by the wind, a mystical extension of the power to know what must remain unknown. Shadow ascetics harness the shadows both for concealment and for strengthening their bodies. The Rose Bishop gains a strange command of life force, using it for enchanting rituals or manipulation of plant life, while the shepherd controls souls and can even usurp the powers of those they shepherd. This pathway's rituals often require the practitioner to offer up carefully guarded secrets, sometimes even pieces of their own soul, symbolizing sacrifice for greater knowledge or power. At higher sequences, the Black Knight manipulates death and shadow in combat, and the Trinity Templar achieves command over life, death, and spirits, representing the Trinity of existence. The profane presbyter and dark angel reach apex forms of corruption, control, and hidden truth. At sequence 0, the Hanged Man aims to become a god of sacrifice, secrets, and the cyclical balance of life and death. Notable followers include members of the Secret Order, such as Alger Wilson, and the organization's mysterious leaders, who each mirror facets of the path's enigmatic principles. 9. The Darkness pathway, sleepless pathway, deals primarily with night, fear, and concealment. Sequence 9's sleepless no longer requires regular rest, able to maintain clarity in darkness and perceive hidden threats with supernaturally enhanced night vision. Potion ingredients at this stage often involve fragments from nocturnal or shadowy creatures. As practitioners advance, they become midnight poets whose words can affect the mind and heart, and nightmares, capable of entering and influencing the dreams of others to instill terror or plant ideas. The soul assurer can comfort or guide the lost, provide protection against spiritual threats, and bolster willpower, while the spirit warlock manipulates ghosts and employs the powers of the dead, often binding specters as guardians or tools. Night watchers guard against the threats of night and evil, gaining enhanced abilities in darkness. The horror bishop can induce terror, control shadowy domains, and unleash spiritual dread on a group or citywide scale. The servant of concealment becomes a master of hiding events, places, or even people from detection, sometimes erasing things from the memory of the world itself. Advancing rituals may require extended isolation in darkness or the direct subjugation of fear. At Sequence 1, the Knight of Misfortune can hurl darkness and bad luck as weapons, and at Sequence 0, the Darkness God rules concealment, night, and oblivion itself. The 10th. The Death Pathway, Corpse Collector Pathway, is intricately linked to the afterlife, necromancy, and authority over death. The Corpse Collector is immune to the innate fear of the dead, and gains the ability to speak with spirits, gather the dead, and sense living beings on the brink of death, usually through potion ingredients derived from ghouls, carrion creatures, or spirit world remnants. As a gravedigger, the ability to gain power through burial rituals reflects ancient beliefs in transformation through returning to the earth. Spirit mediums channel the voices or powers of the deceased, and spirit guides usher souls to the afterlife or the astral world. Gatekeepers stand at the threshold between life and death, guarding against unnatural resurrections or spiritual invasions. The undying become extraordinarily resilient, able to resist most forms of death, even decapitation in some mythologies. And the ferrymen transport souls, echoing legends of Styx or Charon. The Death Consul commands legions of the dead, constructing vast armies from what others consider lifeless remnants. As Pale Emperor, the practitioner rules over necropolis-like domains of silence, memory, and final rest. Ritual advancement may require acts like mediating funerals for thousands, making pacts with ancient undead, or enduring deathly slumber. At Sequence 0, the Death God is the Supreme Reaper, absolute arbiter of mortality and the afterlife. 11. The Twilight Giant Pathway, Warrior Pathway, is at its core the story of heroic combat, martial spirit, and self-sacrifice for glory. At Sequence 9, the warrior sharpens physical and martial prowess, often needing potion ingredients derived from apex predators or legendary fighters. Pugilists become martial arts masters, possessing both physical and mental discipline. Weapon masters gain instantaneous mastery over any weapon, expanding their martial versatility. The Dawn Paladin incorporates holy or light powers, fighting evil with unwavering righteousness. Guardians can project shields and defend entire groups, symbolizing unwavering protection. The Demon Hunter, feared by all supernatural creatures, gains abilities designed explicitly to seek out, confront, and eradicate evil. Silver Knights don sacred armor and radiate power, while the Sequence 2 Glory imbues allies with blessings, inspiring and buffing entire armies. The hand of God exerts divine strength, wisdom, and judgment in battle. Typically, rituals involve grand tournaments, single combat with monstrous foes, or legendary acts of heroism. At Sequence 0, the Twilight Giant is the god of all warriors, strength, and guardian acts, a living legend that brings twilight or dawn to the battlefield. 12. The Demoness Pathway, Assassin Pathway, is one of bewitchment, catastrophe, and transformation. Beginning as assassins at Sequence 9, practitioners hone the arts of stealth, silent killing, and poison, with potion ingredients frequently drawn from venomous creatures or plants. Instigators manipulate emotions and engineer conflict in groups or societies. At sequence 7, the witch sequence, all men who take the potion are forcibly transformed into women, embracing the path's association with change and reversal of the norm. This is a unique feature of this pathway due to the female deity's influence. The witch's charm and curse powers become prominent, and as they progress, practitioners can inflict states of pleasure or pain, spread diseases and plagues, affliction, and even cause existential despair. The higher sequences introduce terrifying destruction. Iron-blooded knights wield power in battle, and the unaging war bishop controls war and violence across generations. Catastrophes can induce calamities of legend, and the demoness of calamity at sequence 0 calls down destruction on an apocalyptic scale. Ritual advancement here often requires sowing chaos or guiding fates into turmoil, fitting for a pathway centering on calamity, temptation, and the darker aspects of transformation and desire. 13. The Red Priest pathway, Hunter pathway, is a domain defined by wildness, provocation, war, and conquest. At sequence 9, the hunter develops acute tracking, survival, and combat prowess, powers rooted in the lore of mankind's earliest warriors and predators. Potion ingredients here might include beastly or predator remains, symbolizing the primal nature of hunters. As a provoker, sequence 8, the practitioner can incite emotions, most powerfully anger in others, turning even a calm mob violent, a fitting precursor to the escalation that defines this pathway. Pyromaniac, sequence 7, brings with it control of fire and explosive force as the Red Priest path transitions from interpersonal provocation to unleashing destructive energy on the world. The Conspirer, sequence 6, develops skills for elaborate planning and manipulation, weaving together plots and alliances, with rituals likely involving orchestrating conflict or betrayal on a grand scale. By sequence 5, the Reaper harvests life. They can drain vitality, excel in lethal combat, and refuse to die easily. Weather Warlocks, sequence 4, gain dominion over storms and natural disasters, echoing the ancient connection between war, weather, and divine wrath. Conquerors, sequence 3, embody the warlord. They command armies and inspire followers through supernatural charisma, while the war bishops, sequence 2, and red priests, sequence 1, stir nations into battle, symbolize martial fervor, and thrive on conflict. At sequence 0, the Red Priest becomes a god of strife, fire, and chaos, able to ignite wars, summon calamities, and reshape destiny through willpower and violence. In universe, this pathway's rituals always relate to instigating or quelling conflict, bloodshed, or great upheaval. Its followers are architects of both destruction and rebirth. 14. The Hermit pathway, Mystery Prior pathway, embodies curiosity, arcane knowledge, and solitary pursuit of truth. The Mystery Prior, sequence 9, can sense and seek out secrets, making them natural investigators and dabblers in the occult. Potion ingredients often include esoteric minerals, scrolls, or spiritual traces tied to old mysteries. As melee scholars, sequence 8, these practitioners blend physical combat and magical lore, while warlocks, sequence 7, gain access to ritual magics, specializing in the manipulation of spiritual and elemental forces. The Scrolls Professor, sequence 6, is a true scholar, able to intuitively understand and decode ancient languages and arcane symbols. Constellations Masters, sequence 5, employ star-based divination and fate alteration, while the Mysticologist, sequence 4, becomes a world expert in Beyonder studies, performing complex rituals to uncover or shield hidden truths. Rituals in this path often involve uncovering ancient ruins, solving cryptic puzzles, or making high-risk, high-reward bargains with otherworldly entities. At the highest sequences, clairvoyant, sage, and knowledge emperor. Sequences 3, 2, 1. The practitioner is a living repository of wisdom, able to see into the farthest reaches of history and fate, command esoteric knowledge, or rewrite the lore of a nation. The Hermit, Sequence 0, is a god of secrets, the hermetic and mystical, whose power derives from isolation and understanding of all that is hidden from mortal sight. 15. The Paragon Pathway, Savant Pathway, is structured around genius, artistry, and the advancement of civilization through craft and intellect. At its base, the Savant, Sequence 9, possesses extraordinary memory and expertise within a chosen field. Their potion ingredients are things related to their domain, such as rare minerals for craftsmen or ancient tomes for scholars. The Archaeologist, Sequence 8, deciphers the past, while the Appraiser, Sequence 7, unveils the truth behind any object, tying this pathway's power to discernment and technological progress. The Artisan, Sequence 6, is a master creator, able to infuse mundane items with supernatural utility. Astronomers, Sequence 5, tap into cosmic knowledge for guidance, blending science and mysticism. Alchemists, Sequence 4, pioneer potions, transformation, and the fusion of elements. Rituals here may require transmuting base metals or inventing concoctions that advance civilization. The Arcane Scholar, Sequence 3, unlocks and teaches magical theories, while Knowledge Magisters, Sequence 2, and Illuminators, Sequence 1, pioneer technology and thought, revolutionizing the world with inventions and enlightenment. At Sequence 0, the Paragon is a god of knowledge, creativity, and innovation, epitomizing the drive behind humanity's greatest leaps forward. 16. The Wheel of Fortune, Pathway, Monster Pathway, is the pathway of luck, chaos, unpredictability, and fate. A path where power flows from the shifting tides of fortune. The Monster, Sequence 9, is marked by extreme, often uncontrollable luck, drawing potion ingredients from creatures renowned for unpredictability. The Robot, Sequence 8, represents an early mastery of logic and emotionlessness, a contrast that brings balance before the wild fortunes to come. The Lucky One, Sequence 7, and Winner, Sequence 5, manipulate odds to succeed at games, contests, or narrow escapes almost every time, while the Calamity Priest, Sequence 6, and Misfortune Mage, Sequence 4, curse others with misfortune and sow disorder. Rituals for advancement might involve embracing or surviving wild reversals of fortune. The Chaos Walker, Sequence 3, Southsayer, Sequence 2, and Snake of Mercury, Sequence 1. Each gain deeper command over chaos and prophecy, able to see and adjust the flow of the future. At the top of this path, the Wheel of Fortune, Sequence 0, becomes a god able to spin destiny, preside over chance itself, and override any attempt to anchor reality, ultimate arbiters of unpredictability. 17. The Mother Pathway, Planter Pathway, is the source of life, fecundity, nature's cycles, and nourishment. Planters, Sequence 9, can foster rapid growth and communicate with plants, often using ingredients from rare or mutant flora in their potions. Doctors, Sequence 8, blend herbal knowledge and supernatural healing. The Harvest Priest, Sequence 7, blesses the fields and controls the bounty of the earth, while biologists, Sequence 6, learn to manipulate and alter living beings, splicing, transforming, and guiding evolution like a living force of fecundity. Druids, Sequence 5, are masters of animal shape-shifting and command over the animal kingdom. Pallbearers, Sequence 4, wield control at the intersection of life and death, able to carry the dead and stave off decay. Higher stages like Desolate Matriarch, Nature's Walker, and finally the Mother, Sequence 1, possess the power to shape environments, control life on a massive scale, and protect or damn entire civilizations with natural boons or blights. At Sequence 0, the mother goddess of depravity is the ultimate giver and taker of life, representing nature's terrifying duality, abundance and deprivation, creation and rot. Rituals for advancement may involve creation of new life forms, healing immense blights, or thriving in nature's harshest crucibles, all testifying to the enduring, inescapable power of the natural world. 18. The Moon Pathway, Apothecary Pathway, is a path rooted in transformation, vitality, and the primal powers of the night. At Sequence 9, the apothecary's craft is fundamental, blending herbology, mystical resonance, and scientific knowledge to create effective medicines and potions. Ingredients are often rare, herbs, moonlit plants, or substances exuding elusive energies. Sequence 8, the Beast Tamer, channels lunar affinity to tame and command animals, reflecting the moon's traditional link to wildness and instinct. Upon becoming a vampire at Sequence 7, the practitioner undergoes a profound change, a blend of predatory instinct, nocturnal strength, self-regeneration, and the curse of blood dependence and sunlight vulnerability. Moon Pathway advancement isn't just physical, but spiritual, as higher sequences like Potions Professor and Scarlet Scholar utilize mysteries of the body and blood to catalyze new potions and master blood magic. At Sequence 4, the Shaman King's powers echo tribal legacies. Communication with ancestor spirits and moonlit rituals turn the user into a mythic figure. Progression here often requires direct communion with nature, the wild, and the dead. By Sequence 3, the High Summoner commands powerful spirits and moon-related phenomena, while the Life Giver, Sequence 2, obtains the ability to heal any wound and bestow or steal life itself. The angelic beauty goddess radiates irresistible allure and spiritual guidance under the moon's light. At Sequence 0, the moon personifies the mysterious forces behind nighttime, blood, and primal instincts, a god who connects all cycles of life, growth, death, and rebirth. 19. The Abyss Pathway, Criminal Pathway, embodies transgression, temptation, and utter depravity. At its start, the criminal, Sequence 9, gains unmatched stealth and illicit skill, reliant on ingredients taken from creatures of darkness, corruption, or deep places. The unwinged angel at Sequence 8 adopts darkness and fallen grace, while the serial killer, Sequence 7, reflects pure bloodlust, each kill empowering and addicting, a mark of the path's spiral into evil. Devils, Sequence 6, work through temptation, contracts, and pacts, trading in souls and corrupting the not yet fallen. As the Desire Apostle, Sequence 5, grows, they manipulate human impulses at will, building the ability to control or destroy with a whisper or a glance. This path's rituals often involve flaunting societal or cosmic rules, breaking taboos, and bearing guilt or corruption. At Demon, Sequence 4, the practitioner gains a demonic body, powers of flight and fire, and grows ever closer to the abyss's true horror. The Blatherer, Sequence 3, spreads chaos simply through their tongue, madness, despair, inspiration for evil acts. The Bloody Archduke, Sequence 2, becomes a marshal of lesser demons, while the Filthy Monarch, Sequence 1, rules over the domains of filth, spiritual corruption, and decay. Finally, the Abyss, Sequence 0, represents the god of all that festers in the dark, a power feeding on the fall of others, capable of pulling reality itself into a state of collapse and wanton lawlessness. 20. The Chained Pathway, Prisoner Pathway, is one of endurance, suffering, and transformation through adversity. Prisoners, Sequence 9, can survive any hardship, whether bodily or spiritual, and are commonly found with ingredients taken from creatures long confined or creatures famous for survival. As a lunatic, sequence 8, power comes at the cost of reason, with fits of madness providing strength. With the werewolf, sequence 7, advancement, the practitioner experiences animalistic transformation and explosive force, a nod to ancient fears and wildness inside every soul, crafted from the preserved essence of powerful, cursed beasts. The zombie, sequence 6, stage renders the self immune to pain, disease, or most attacks, allowing practitioners to shrug off disaster and keep moving forward. At sequence 5, the wraith can become intangible, pass through walls, or possess the living, a spectral extension of the prison-freed soul. Advanced sequences such as Puppet, Disciple of Silence, and Ancient Bane grant control over others or silence and nullify magic itself. True inversion of weakness. Rituals can involve prolonged voluntary imprisonment, denial, or surviving extreme ordeals. As an abomination, sequence 1, and the ultimate chained, sequence 0, the practitioner becomes the living embodiment of confinement's paradox, both unbreakable and able to shatter any bonds, god of prisons, punishment, and transformation through adversity. 21. The Black Emperor pathway, lawyer pathway, revolves around subversion, law, and the power inherent in rebellion and disorder. At the base, the lawyer, sequence 9, excels in argument, negotiation, and legal trickery, fueled with ingredients from cunning or manipulative creatures. The barbarian, sequence 8. Sequence emphasizes raw, unrestrained force, while briber, sequence 7, wields temptation and corruption. By sequence 6, Baron of Corruption, decay as both a physical and social force is in the practitioner's command, corrupting both the body and institutions. As they climb, chaos becomes their tool. The Mentor of Disorder, sequence 5, stirs unrest. Earl of the Fallen, sequence 4, leads those cast out, and the Frenzied Mage, sequence 3, unleashes magical chaos. The Duke of Entropy, sequence 2, presides over decay and breakdown on a world scale, while the Prince of Abolition, sequence 1, can erase order, logic, and even the rules of powers. The Black Emperor, to sequence 0, is not merely a ruler, but the antithesis of all imposed order, a god able to topple empires, abolish contracts, and unmake the world's structures. Rituals in this path often demand acts of total subversion, law-breaking, or the deliberate abolition of tradition or hierarchy. 22. The Justiciar pathway, arbiter pathway, embodies the absolute, implacable power of justice and order. An arbiter at sequence 9 is a natural mediator, able to detect falsehood and settle disputes, with ingredients sourced from creatures with an innate sense of balance or fairness. Sheriffs, sequence 8, enforce law directly, and interrogators, sequence 7, excel at extracting truth, by words or by psychic means. Judges, sequence 6, can pronounce supernatural verdicts that carry real-world consequences. Their rituals frequently involve overseeing or resolving major cosmic injustices. Disciplinary paladins, sequence 5, personally mete out discipline and punishment, while imperative mages, sequence 4, can issue commands that magically must be obeyed. The Chaos Hunter, sequence 3, seeks out and punishes forces of disorder, while the Balancer, sequence 2, can equalize or restore harmony between extreme forces. The Hand of Order, sequence 1, is an angelic being capable of enforcing global justice. At the apex, the Justiciar, sequence 0, is the god of order and judgment, a being who can impose or rewrite laws of reality itself, restore balance, or drive all of creation toward an ideal of fairness and truth. All stated potions and rituals in Lord of Mysteries, canon-only list. 1. Seer Pathway, Fool. Sequence 9, Seer Potion, Seer Beyonder, Characteristic, plus Blood of a Spirit World Creature. LOTM Volume 1, Chapter 12. Sequence 8, Clown O Potion, Clown Beyonder Characteristic, plus Muscles, Skin of a Creature with Superior Body Control. Magician Potion, Magician Beyonder, Characteristic plus Blessed Radiant Flower, Spiritual Flesh of Extraordinary Creature, Deep Sea Orb of Storms, and High Purity Essential Oil. Potion Formulas, not all ingredients officially itemized in novel. Sequence 6, Faceless Potion, Faceless Beyonder Characteristic, plus Skin, Flesh, Organs from Shape-Shifting Monster, Human Skin Shadow, Black-Faced Monkey Tongue, etc. LOTM Chapter, 326 for 1 ingredient. Sequence 5, Marionettist Potion, Marionettist Beyonder, Characteristic, plus NA in canon. Sequence 4, Bizarro Sorcerer, Elzaro Sorcerer. Advancement Ritual. Potion must be consumed in an absolutely sealed, lifeless environment. LOTM Chapter 607, Sequence 3-0. No complete known formulas, rituals. Some requirements implied. Rare ancient artifacts, historical resonance, miracles, collective wish ceremonies at Sequence 2+. Second Sun Pathway. Sequence 9. Sunbird Feather plus Extraordinary Characteristics. LOTM Chapter 249. Sequence 8+. Glorious Leaf is an ingredient for some Sun Pathway sequence. LOTM Chapter 262. 3. Apprentice Pathway, Door. Sequence 9, Apprentice Potion, Beyonder Characteristic plus Unknown. Spatial, Dark Memory Creature Materials, not explicitly listed. Sequence 5, Traveler Advancement. Ritual, survive a trip in the spirit world and return without losing oneself. LOTM Chapter 1133. 4. Moon Pathway. Sequence 7, Vampire Potion, Vampire Beyonder Characteristic plus Blood of a Vampire or related creature. LOTM Chapter 664. Sequence 9, Apothecary Potion, Blood of a Silver Streak Grass plus Beyonder Characteristic. LOTM Chapter 170. 5. Demoness Pathway. Sequence 9, Assassin Potion, Heart of a Red-Back Spider, Shadow of an Evil Spirit, and the Fat of a Mutant. LOTM Chapter 371. Sequence 7, Wit Potion, includes unique venom, poison items, plus the Beyonder Characteristic. Gender changes to female upon potion ingestion. LOTM Chapter 381, 551. Death Pathway. Sequence 9, Corpse Collector Potion, Heart of Carrion Crow plus Beyonder Characteristic. LOTM Chapter 90. 7. Chained Pathway. Sequence 7, Werewolf Potion, includes Werewolf Essence plus Characteristic. LOTM Chapter 504. 8. Red Priest Pathway. Sequence 9, Hunter Potion, Heart of a Shadow, Leopard, Extraordinary Silver Bullet, Various Herbs, Beyonder Characteristic. LOTM Chapter 138. 9. Paragon Pathway. Sequence 9, Savant Potion, Jellyfish's Brain, Reaction Stones, Fossil Dust, Night Tarantula, Beyonder Characteristic. Chapter 138-9. LOTM Chapter 173. 10. Visionary Pathway. Sequence 9, Spectator Potion, Mandrake Root, Blood of Mind. Drake, Beyonder Characteristic. LOTM Chapter 347. Sequences not listed above are either not revealed at all or only extremely vaguely described in canon. The vast majority of potion formulas and higher sequence rituals remain canonical mysteries. All known advancement rituals. Fool Pathway. Sequence 4, Bizarro Sorcerer. Ritual must be performed in an absolutely sealed, lifeless space. Apprentice Pathway. Sequence 5, Traveler. Enter and exit the spirit world without being lost. Rituals for higher sequences, especially above Sequence 3, are often unknown or only thematically described. such as gathering wishes, becoming history, or fusing with a sephira. Most known rituals come from the fool, seer, apprentice, and related paths. Fool pathway. The fool pathway seems to be about fooling perceptions and reality. They specialize in divination, illusions, changing appearances, strong muscle and facial expression control, and controlling other people as marionettes with spirit body threads. At high sequences, they can turn their marionettes into another duplicate of themselves, bring things, including themselves, from the past to the present, create countless miracles, create a mysterious environment that's full of tampering and concealment, and are able to fool all sorts of things. Error pathway. The error pathway can deceive and steal all sorts of things. They can trick others with their eloquence, sleight of hand, and through illusions, steal their target's beyonder or mundane abilities, steal thoughts and intentions. At high sequences, they can turn into a parasite to attach in a host, create avatars, manipulate time, and also become experts in exploiting the loopholes in rules. The ancient sun god called this pathway a bug and explained it as a Trojan horse of fate, the slug of time, the loopholes in rules, the manifestation of all errors. Door pathway. The door pathway has many abilities that allow one to pass obstacles. They can travel and teleport, perform divination, phase through objects, evade with tricky spells, record and use other Beyonders' powers. At high sequences, they will have higher capabilities of manipulating space, and their travel ability is no longer restricted to the spirit world. They can also apply concealment, allowing them to avoid detection through Beyonder methods, and they can replicate Beyonder abilities without the need to record it, provided they have sufficient knowledge of said ability. Visionary pathway. The visionary pathway is adept at psychological manipulation. They can read minds, discern emotions, hypnotize, and travel between dreams. They are also good at acting, knowing what kind of emotional reaction to show in the appropriate situation, and knowing, in detail, what kind of expression and body language to react. At high sequences, they can enter and influence the mind world, weave out realistic dreams, control others without realization, and even affect reality through their thoughts and dreams. Sun pathway. The sun pathway has traditional priest abilities, such as powerful light and holy magic, as well as buffing abilities. They can cast light and fire spells, buff others and themselves with chant, buffing or weakening people and Beyonder's power, purify and exorcise, and establish contracts that are hard to break. At high sequences, they could directly reduce their opponent's sequence and create an area of effect ocean of light to instantly purify their foes. Tyrant pathway. The tyrant pathway can be understood as omnipotence in the sea, land, and air domains. It specializes in water and weather-related abilities. They can cast powerful water, wind, and electricity spells, gain strength in water, sing to disable their opponents, glide in the air, act freely underwater for long periods of time, and become enraged to increase their power. They are known to have a bad temper and are sensitive to the level of a high-ranking person. At high sequences, they can control sea creatures, walk freely in the ocean, create earthquakes, travel at the speed of lightning, and can even produce enough electrical power to rival a star. White Tower pathway. The White Tower pathway represents the search for knowledge to reach the omniscience in omniscience and omnipotence. In contrast to the Hermit pathway and Paragon pathway, this pathway includes both scientific and mysticism knowledge. Beyonders of this pathway have a good memory and the ability to mimic others' powers by analysis. At high sequences, they can see the future and deduce the past, directly observe, analyze, and use the fundamental laws of reality, and reveal all information about a person, hidden or otherwise. Hanged Man pathway. The Hanged Man pathway represents becoming part of myriad things to reach the omnipotence in omniscience and omnipotence. It has depraved abilities. It specializes in directly sensing and listening to the whispers of secret entities, shadow-related spells, flesh and blood magic, and grazing souls to use their beyonder abilities. At high sequences, they control shadows, peel evil thoughts, and fuse them with a shadow to form a monster, utter evil words, and turn into a depraved ocean to overwhelm their enemies and cause interference. Darkness pathway. The darkness pathway has powers related to the night, soul, and sleep. They gain strength during nighttime, can pacify souls, enter others' dreams, cast area of effect sleep spells, see in the dark, and suppress their enemies' moods and desires. At high sequences, they can host evil spirits within them, control darkness, shift a certain area under the state of secrecy, erase or hide things, and give misfortune to others. Death pathway. The death pathway is notable for its powers related to the dead and spirits. They can create zombies, summon spirits to fight for them, resist cold and decay, travel through the spirit world, communicate with the dead, and have enhanced abilities to fight the undead, wraiths, and other evil spirits. At high sequences, they can resurrect and instantly kill their enemies. Twilight Giant pathway. The Twilight Giant pathway has traditional warrior abilities, both offensive and defensive. They can easily master all weapons and physical combat styles, physically resist supernatural powers, conjure powerful light weapons and armor, purify evil spirits, take damage for others, enter an almost unbreakable defensive stance. At high sequences, they can mix powerful concoctions for enhancements, healing, or apply various effects, conceal their intentions, transform into mercurial liquid, identify weaknesses in others, and bend light to hide their presence. At sequence 2, they can use the Twilight, the light of decay. The power of the Twilight Giant pathway is also related to waning. Matter and spirit will decay, collapse, and perish. Demoness pathway. The Demoness pathway seems to be centered around causing natural disasters and catastrophe. They have excellent agility, have powerful ritual and curse magic, good at assassinations, can manipulate invisible threads, incite people to cause crimes, and inflict disease. At high sequences, they can petrify things, spread plagues, and control natural disasters. One of the core abilities of the Demoness pathway revolves around mirrors and manipulating the world within them. They represent the feminine side of the original creator. Red Priest pathway. The Red Priest pathway seems to be centered around causing man-made disasters and catastrophe. It contains war-related abilities. They are experts with fire, traps, have enhanced strength and agility, can find and attack weaknesses. They are good at plotting conspiracies and can provoke others into losing control. At high sequences, they can transform into a blazing meteor to travel quickly and control the weather. One of the core abilities of the Red Priest pathway revolves around fire. They represent the masculine side of the original creator. Hermit pathway. The Hermit pathway specializes in knowledge of the mystical and occult world. They have good divination and ritual magic abilities, possess a deep knowledge of mysticism and mysteries, cast traditional spells, scribe scroll spells, as well as conjure and manipulate the stars. At high sequences, they are able to see and hear hidden existences easily, self-create spells, travel the spirit world, drain power from mystical knowledge, and foresee the woven fate of a person. Paragon pathway. The Paragon pathway specializes in knowledge of the natural world and crafting items. They have excellent scientific knowledge, historical knowledge, mechanical knowledge, can create powerful beyonder weapons, and have an intuitive knowledge of using and avoiding the drawbacks of sealed items. At high sequences, they can pour their spirit into objects they create to give them life. comprehend mysticism with science, alter the laws of physics, and promote the light of civilization known as technology. Wheel of Fortune Pathway. The Wheel of Fortune pathway is adept at manipulating fate, luck, and probability. They can control luck, store luck and release it, make people unlucky, perform and counter divination, predict the future, gain increased bodily control, and manipulate disasters. At high sequences, they can make the certain uncertain, trap people in an endless loop of fated events, and avoid danger by restarting the encounter or through reincarnation. Mother Pathway. The Mother Pathway has plant and earth-related abilities. They also dabble in the field of healing and genetics, in terms of both physical and soul-body. At high sequences, they can induce their surroundings to flourish quickly and create chimeras, crossbreeds, ordinary humans, and various constructs such as golems. They can also deprive life force from targets and their surroundings to return them to the earth. Moon Pathway. The Moon Pathway has powerful healing abilities as well as enhanced biological targets. They can create powerful healing and buffing potions, tame animals, regenerate, and cast darkness spells. At high sequences, they can summon things or people from a far distance and increase negative energy and spirituality of a region to release monsters and evil spirits. Abyss Pathway. The Abyss Pathway has demonic and devil-related abilities. They have high strength, perception, can cast ritual and sacrificial spells, control and corrupt the desires of others, detect danger intuitively, increase in size, resist mental, poison, and curse attacks, and buff themselves for more strength and defense. At high sequences, they can make their enemies lose control on their desires, corrupt others with their voice. Chained Pathway. The Chained Pathway has different types of mutant abilities, but they're also cursed. They can summon zombies, jump through things with reflections, resist bullets with powerful defense, possess others, control ghosts, cast death-related spells, regenerate and heal themselves, and sacrifice rationality for more power. They have high strength, speed, and defense, but have some difficulty in controlling themselves. They also lose power or control during the full moon. At high sequences, they can control every non-living thing within a certain radius and hex their target, turning them into harmless animals. Black Emperor Pathway. The Black Emperor Pathway manipulates rules to suit their interests. They are proficient at loophole exploitation, possess extreme physicality, use bribery to achieve various effects, distort words, actions, and intent, disorder all sorts of things, and dominate others. At high sequences, they could exploit abstract laws, manipulate the environment to their advantage, magnify the effect of their actions, isolate the location from the outside world, and infinitely resurrect if their order was still in place. Sequence 0 can endlessly resurrect and cheat death if their order still remains. Justiciar Pathway. The Justiciar Pathway is about defending order. It is strong at setting laws and punishing lawbreakers. They can set up rules that will inflict punishments if broken, directly attack minds and souls, recognize people supernaturally, detect abnormalities, and use all kinds of weapons and explosives. At high sequences, they can negate other beyonder powers and supernatural phenomena and enforce order upon chaos. They can also set verdicts and rules, and any sentence they speak in mystical language can be set as a rule for their targets to follow. Conclusion. This is the full, expanded guide to every lord of the mysteries beyonder pathway, sequence by sequence, with ingredients, rituals, powers, logic, and narrative themes woven in. Each pathway is rooted in the metaphysical rules and mythos, its progressions reflecting both in-world requirements, ritual, experience, ingredients, and the story's core philosophies. Non-standard pathways represent unique routes to power that are created and controlled by outer deities, existing beyond the conventional 22 pathways. The nature of these pathways involves sequences and abilities that often blend or diverge significantly from standard pathways. On Earth, Beyonders do not utilize potions or consume Beyonder characteristics for advancement. Instead, they pray to the respective outer deity for a boon, with power being directly bestowed, resulting in no possession of Beyonder characteristics in these paths. Importantly, the powers granted can be revoked or reassigned by the outer deity at any time, and unlike potion pathways, there is no risk of losing control or descending into madness. In the cosmos, standard advancement employing Beyonder characteristics is feasible up to sequence 1, beyond which only the outer deity can transcend the sequence. Furthermore, non-standard pathways allow for the mixing of sequences and powers from various standard pathways, dictated by the will of the deity. As of the 5th epoch, 1358, 3 outer deities, the Mother Goddess of Depravity, the Mother Tree of Desire, and the Uncertain Mist, can easily grant godhood, while others require complex rituals that may be susceptible to intervention. Each non-standard pathway offers distinct powers, such as fate manipulation through the Circle of Inevitability, life manipulation by the Mother Goddess of Depravity, and celestial control via the Supernova Dominator, among others. The key takeaways emphasize that advancement results from direct empowerment by the outer deity, with the pathways being mutable and drawing powers from multiple standard pathways, leaving Beyonders completely at the mercy of their patron deity, while offering unique abilities not found elsewhere in the sequence world. The common physical changes of the standard pathways reveal a variety of transformations experienced by Beyonders upon ascension. In the Fool pathway, Beyonders' eye color turns black when they become attendants of mysteries. Those in the Visionary pathway can manifest dragon scales on their bodies and gain draconic irises that penetrate the soul, with dragons emerging as a species from this lineage after generations of mutations. Beyonders in the Tyrant pathway develop blue hair and illusory scales beneath their skin, facilitating movement through water, eventually leading to the evolution of elves from this pathway. The Death pathway is characterized by initially pale skin that tans under sunlight, coupled with a lifeless aura. In the Twilight Giant pathway, Beyonders experience an increase in height and a stronger physique around sequence 6, with giants evolving from this pathway over generations. The Demoness pathway enhances femininity, with Beyonders becoming more alluring and their hair darkening after sequence 7. In contrast, the Red Priest pathway sees hair turn blood red and eyes shift to iron black, with increased height and a more masculine appearance as they progress. The Wheel of Fortune pathway features silvery hair that emerges at a high sequence. Beyonders of the Moon pathway transition species at sequence 7, developing red eyes and enhanced beauty, leading to sanguines being formed over generations. The Abyss pathway results in a gradual species change by sequence 8, where Beyonders evolve into demons of the body, with devils and demons arising from this lineage. Finally, the Chained pathway grants Beyonders temporary physical changes that hint at their current sequence, leading to the evolution of mutants. Additionally, certain sequences in some pathways enforce gender transitions, such as the Calamity of Destruction pathway, which mandates a shift to female, and the Red Priest pathway, which enforces a transition to male. The Calamity of Destruction, Great Old One, encompasses both genders, creating true hermaphrodites, while the Goddess of Origin, Mother pathway, compels female transformation at specific sequences. The Moon pathway and the Goddess of Origin, Great Old One, also influence these transitions, with further options to avoid gender changes in certain circumstances. Chart of neighboring groups. The core law that determines whether different pathways and above the sequence groups are neighboring each other is whether their symbols and authorities are similar or complementary. Except for the Sephirot that have pillar symbolism, when two Sephirot are neighboring, all pathways under the two Sephirot are also neighboring. When one of the Sephirot in question has pillar symbolism, all pathways under the other Sephirah can still neighbor some pathways under the pillar Sephirah, but not all. The following chart contains all currently known combinations of neighboring Great Old One groups, including both standard pathways and non-standard pathways. Note: the name of the Great Old Ones are abbreviations. Hover for their full names and the pathways under them. Cells means fully neighboring, i.e., all pathways under one group neighbor, all pathways under the other group. Cells means partial neighboring, i.e., all pathways under one group neighbor, only some pathways of their group. This is because one group is a pillar. Cells means non-neighboring, i.e., no pathways under one group neighbor, any pathways under the other group. Cells means no information. The two groups might or might not neighbor each other. The term pathways most likely references the 22 paths of Tree of Life, a fundamental symbol and concept in Jewish mysticism. It is a diagrammatic representation of the divine structure of the universe and the path to spiritual enlightenment. The Tree of Life consists of 10 interconnected spheres called Sephirot, which represent different aspects of the divine and the human psyche. These spheres are connected by 22 paths, each corresponding to a letter of the Hebrew alphabet. There is a pathway taken by the author, but so far it is not canonical. Teacher pathway. There are also 22 days trivia, 22 fun fact countdown to the release of Circle of Inevitability on March 4th, 2023. References: Lord of Mysteries, Chapter 12. 71, Lord of Mysteries, Chapter 5. 143, Lord of Mysteries, Chapter 8. 121, Lord of Mysteries, Chapter 1. 137, Lord of Mysteries, Chapter 1. 1347, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 60, Lord of Mysteries, Chapter 2. 119, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 29, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 1, 175, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 1, 1084, Discord, International AMA, with the author of LOTM, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 392, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 36. Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 37, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 87, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 2, 119, Lord of Mysteries, Chapter 1, 1310, Lord of Mysteries, Chapter 13, 21. We interviewed the OG Lord of the Mysteries himself. Question number 28. Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 97. The few sequence names that are missing. 2020, May 4th. Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 170. Bilibili LOTM related, content creator, Chu Zhaolan, 100,000 subscriber special video. I've interviewed Cuttlefish. Question 6, Cuttlefish's WeChat post, the primordial hunger pathway. Cuttlefish's WeChat post, the Circle of Inevitability pathway, screenshot. Lord of Mysteries, Chapter 1, 1352, appearance description of Fourth Epoch characters, Alista Tudor's hair color, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 565, Circle of Inevitability, Chapter 749. We interviewed the OG Lord of the Mysteries himself. 2020, May 25th.